Have you ever wondered why some people achieve extraordinary success while others remain stuck? What if I told you that success isn't what you think it is? That the definition most people use is completely wrong? Today, I'm breaking down the 12 powerful definitions of success from the coach of billionaires, Ed Mylett. These aren't just theories, they're the exact principles that have created more millionaires than almost any other success coach alive. But here's the shocking truth. Most people get the very first definition completely backward, and it's costing them everything. Stay until the end, and I'll share the one question Ed asks his billionaire clients that instantly reveals what's been blocking their next breakthrough. What's up, champions? Welcome back to the 12 Ways channel, where we break down success strategies from the world's top performers. Now, let's talk about Ed Mylett. He's one of the most influential business leaders and peak performance experts alive today. He built his fortune in financial services, but his true genius lies in his ability to coach others to extraordinary levels of success. But there's something most people don't know about Ed's journey, a devastating setback early in his career that almost ended everything. The way he responded reveals the exact mindset that separates the ultra-successful from everyone else. Most people think success is about what you have. Ed teaches that real success is about who you become. Here's the game-changing truth. You will never outperform your self-image, ever. Your results will always align with the person you believe yourself to be. Think about it. Have you ever achieved something amazing, only to sabotage yourself later? That's because your results exceeded your identity. Your subconscious mind was working overtime to bring your circumstances back in line with how you see yourself. But here's what Ed won't tell you in his public content. There's a dark side to identity expansion. When you begin to change who you are, the people closest to you will often resist that change, sometimes aggressively. Why? Because your transformation threatens their comfort with the status quo. The billionaire mindset revolution starts with expanding your identity, seeing yourself as someone worthy of extraordinary success. This isn't fake it till you make it. It's about genuine identity expansion through new experiences, changing your environment, visualization, and surrounding yourself with people operating at higher levels. Ed often says the most successful people are just playing a different identity movie in their heads. What movie are you playing in yours? Everyone faces failure. The difference between the ultra-successful and everyone else isn't in how many times they fail. It's in how quickly they recover. Ed calls this your bounceback factor, and it might be the most underrated success metric of all time. Average performers might take days, weeks, or even months to recover from setbacks. The elite, minutes or hours. Here's what's fascinating. Research shows that the longest-lived people on Earth aren't those who experience the least stress. They're the ones who recover from stress the fastest. Could the same principle apply to success? Ed developed this philosophy through his own journey. Few people know this, but Ed faced tremendous adversity with his father's alcoholism and his son's serious health challenges at birth. What made the difference wasn't that Ed avoided pain, it was that he developed extraordinary emotional resilience. But there's a deeper question here. What if your ability to bounce back isn't just psychological? What if there's a biological component that Ed has discovered? Ask yourself, how long does it take you to recover from disappointment? What if you could cut that time in half? Your bounce-back factor might be the single most important measurement of your future success. Ed often talks about the gap, that space between what you're capable of and what you're currently achieving. The size of this gap determines your level of fulfillment. Here's a hard truth. Most people are living at about 40% of their potential. The average person is leaving 60% of their capability on the table every single day. But what's really keeping you in that 40% zone? Is it lack of knowledge, lack of opportunity? Or could it be something more insidious, what Ed calls the comfortable prison that most people never recognize they're living in? The most successful people aren't necessarily the most talented. They're the ones who've closed the gap between what they're capable of and what they actually produce. According to Ed, this gap creates something worse than failure. It creates regret. The pain of knowing you could have been more, done more, contributed more. So how do you close this gap? It starts with brutal self-honesty. Where are you playing small? Where are you making excuses? Where have you convinced yourself that good enough is acceptable? But there's a counterintuitive element to closing this gap that Ed teaches his highest level clients. something that seems completely backward at first glance. What percentage of your potential are you currently living at? What would your life look like if you closed that gap by just 10% this year? If you study Ed's work, you'll notice he's obsessed with morning routines. That's because he understands a fundamental truth: win the morning, win the day. The billionaire mindset revolution starts before most people even open their eyes. Ed teaches that the first 30 to 60 minutes of your day determine approximately 80% of your outcomes. But here's the uncomfortable question. What if your current morning routine is actually sabotaging your success? What if the very habits you think are helping you are actually setting you up for mediocrity? Ed's research with top performers revealed something shocking. There's a specific sequence to an optimal morning routine, and getting it wrong can actually be worse than having no routine at all. Ed's own morning routine includes gratitude practice, intense physical training, spiritual practice, and strategic planning for his highest leverage activities. But here's what makes Ed's approach different. He doesn't just recommend a generic morning routine, he teaches that your morning needs to systematically address your specific weaknesses and amplify your unique strengths. There's also a little-known aspect of Ed's morning discipline that he rarely discusses publicly, a 5-minute practice that primes his brain for opportunity recognition. What's one change you could make to your morning that would transform the remaining 23 hours of your day? This might be Ed's most counterintuitive teaching. While most people try to avoid discomfort, the ultra-successful actively seek it out. Here's the billion-dollar insight. Your capacity for success is directly proportional to your capacity for discomfort. But this raises a puzzling question. If discomfort leads to growth, why do so many people who struggle never seem to break through? What's the missing piece that turns suffering into success? Ed calls this stacking discomfort, intentionally putting yourself in challenging situations that force growth. This isn't about suffering for the sake of suffering. It's about understanding that growth happens at the edge of your comfort zone, not within it. Think about it, every major breakthrough in your life likely came after a period of significant challenge. That's not coincidence, it's causation. Ed shares a powerful technique each day. Do at least one thing that makes you uncomfortable. Make the cold call, have the difficult conversation. Push through that extra rep, wake up an hour earlier. What most people don't realize is that there's a neurological reason why discomfort accelerates success, something Ed learned from his work with elite military units that completely changed his approach to growth. Ask yourself, what uncomfortable action have I been avoiding that, if faced, could create a breakthrough in my life or business? Ed teaches that success leaves clues, and those clues are often found in the people you surround yourself with. Here's a paradigm-shifting question. Are you the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, or are those 5 people the average of you? But here's what's truly disturbing. Research shows that your network affects more than just your mindset. Studies reveal that behaviors including health habits, income levels, and even happiness spread through social networks like viruses. This means the people around you might be programming your future without you even realizing it. The billionaire mindset revolution requires becoming the thermostat in your environment, not just a thermometer. This means consciously curating your relationships in 3 critical categories. 1. Peers, the people at your current level who provide community. 2. Mentors, those who are where you want to be and can show you the way. 3. Students, those you can teach and elevate, which reinforces your own growth. Most people fail to achieve their potential because they're surrounded by what Ed calls ceiling holders. People who often unconsciously keep you playing at a certain level because your growth threatens their comfort. But there's a painful reality about associations that Ed addresses with his highest level clients. Sometimes the person holding you back the most is someone you love deeply. Who in your life is elevating you? And more importantly, who might be limiting your growth? The answers to these questions could be worth millions. In a world obsessed with fixing weaknesses, Ed teaches a revolutionary approach. Become world-class at your unique ability and delegate or automate everything else. Every truly successful person has identified their one unique ability, that intersection of what you're naturally talented at, what creates significant value for others, and what you're passionate about. But here's the challenging question. What if you've been focusing on the wrong strengths your entire life? Ed shares a shocking insight from his coaching practice. Nearly 70% of high achievers are building their careers around skills they're good at, but that don't represent their true unique ability. They're succeeding, but at a fraction of their potential. The billionaire mindset means focusing 80% of your energy on developing this unique ability rather than spreading yourself thin, trying to be good at everything. Think about it. Would you rather be average at 10 things or extraordinary at one thing that creates massive value? What's your one unique ability? What comes naturally to you that others struggle with? What creates disproportionate results in your life and work? One of Ed's most powerful insights is that time is a fixed resource, but energy is expandable. The ultra-successful don't just manage their time, they strategically manage their energy. Think about it. Have you ever had days where you accomplished more in a few hours than you normally do in an entire week? The difference wasn't more time, it was higher energy and better focus. But here's the uncomfortable truth Ed discovered while working with elite performers. Most people's energy problems aren't physical, they're psychological. What if your energy crisis is actually a meaning crisis in disguise? Energy comes in 4 dimensions: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. The billionaire mindset revolution means understanding that an hour of peak energy is worth more than 5 hours of low energy. Success isn't about cramming more activities into your day. It's about bringing your highest energy to your highest leverage activities. In fact, there's a specific expectation pattern that drains more energy than almost anything else. What if instead of trying to manage your time better, you focused on expanding your energy? What would become possible then? Here's a counterintuitive truth from Ed. Your level of happiness isn't determined by your achievements. It's determined by the relationship between your expectations and your reality. The billionaire mindset includes mastering expectation calibration. Setting expectations that are high enough to inspire growth, realistic enough to be achievable, and flexible enough to adjust when circumstances change. But here's the paradox that frustrates so many high achievers. How do you balance ambitious goals with realistic expectations? If you aim too high, you risk perpetual disappointment. If you aim too low, you guarantee mediocrity. Ed shares a shocking insight from his research. The most common reason people quit pursuing a goal isn't failure itself. It's the gap between expected progress and actual progress. When that gap becomes too painful, people abandon ship. The most successful people maintain what Ed calls positive expectation tension. Expectations that stretch them but don't break them. In fact, Ed discovered a specific type of habit that automatically calibrates expectations for optimal performance. Are your expectations serving you or sabotaging you? The answer might be the difference between fulfillment and frustration on your journey to success. Most people approach habit formation completely backward. They focus on the outcomes they want rather than the identity that would naturally produce those outcomes. Lasting change comes from identity-based habits, behaviors that align with who you want to become, not just what you want to achieve. But here's the unsettling question. What if the habits you're struggling to build are actually in conflict with how you see yourself? What if your subconscious identity is sabotaging your conscious goals? The billionaire mindset revolution starts with a simple question. What would the person I want to become do in this situation? When you act from your aspirational identity rather than your current habits, transformation becomes inevitable rather than optional. The most powerful identity shift happens when you move from I'm trying to I'm the kind of person who I'm trying to work out more becomes I'm an athlete, I'm trying to build a business, becomes I'm an entrepreneur, I'm trying to be more confident, becomes I'm a leader. What's fascinating is the connection between these identity-based habits and the quality of questions you ask yourself. Our next definition. Ed discovered a specific questioning technique that can instantly reveal the hidden identity conflicts blocking your progress. What identity would naturally achieve the goals you're pursuing? Start living from that identity today and watch how your habits and your results transform. According to Ed, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of questions you habitually ask yourself. Average performers ask disempowering questions like, why does this always happen to me? What if I fail? How can I get by with minimum effort? The billionaire mindset revolution means replacing these with empowering questions like, what's the opportunity in this challenge? How can I make this inevitable rather than possible? What would this look like if it were easy? But here's what's truly mind-bending. Research in cognitive psychology shows that your brain treats questions as commands. It will relentlessly seek answers to whatever questions you ask it, even if those questions are self-destructive. This isn't just positive thinking, it's strategic thinking. It's about training your mind to automatically seek solutions, opportunities, and advantages rather than problems, obstacles, and excuses. What Ed discovered in his work with elite performers is that there's a hierarchy of questions, with one master question sitting at the top. This question, when asked consistently, creates more breakthroughs than any other. What questions are you habitually asking yourself? And more importantly, what questions could you start asking that would transform your results? We've reached the most powerful definition of all, what Ed calls the one more principle. The difference between average and extraordinary often comes down to doing just one more rep when you're tired, one more call when you want to quit, one more attempt after failure, one more hour when others go home, one more try when everything says give up. But here's the question that stops most people in their tracks. How do you find the motivation for one more when you feel completely depleted? What's the source of that extra push when there's nothing left in the tank? Ed shares a shocking insight from his research with elite performers. Motivation isn't what powers one more. It's something much deeper and more reliable. And most people never tap into it because they're looking in the wrong place. The billionaire mindset revolution is built on this fundamental truth. Success doesn't require doing 100 times more than others. It often requires doing just one more. This principle has transformed Ed's life and the lives of countless others he's coached. It's not about working yourself to exhaustion. It's about finding that critical moment when most would quit and pushing through it. And here's the master question I promised earlier, the one Ed asks in critical moments that instantly reveals the path forward. What's the one more thing I could do right now that would make the biggest difference? What's your one more opportunity today? Where could pushing just a little further create breakthrough results in your life? These 12 definitions of success from Ed Mylett aren't just theoretical concepts. They're proven principles that have created extraordinary results for thousands of people around the world. The billionaire mindset revolution isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the fullest expression of who you were created to be. As Ed often says, the biggest gap in life is between knowing and doing. You now know these 12 definitions of success. The question is, what will you do with them? Will you continue with business as usual, or will today be the day you decide to revolutionize your approach to success? If you found value in this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that will help you unleash your potential. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, remember, your next level of success is just one definition away.